welcome to the Agency Scale to Success podcast, your guide to digital marketing growth, brought to you by Globital. My name's Leanne Rogers, Head of Marketing at Globital, and today I'm talking to Globital's Chief AI Officer, Hugo Silva Pereira, about how we approach AI solutions and service delivery as a white-label agency, and what that means for our agency partners. Running a digital agency can be tough without the right support in place. At Globital, we're committed to helping digital agencies scale with tailored resources, personal support, and proactive advice. For many agencies, the barrier to scaling lies in their capacity and not having enough time or resources to be able to grow further. As an exclusively white-label resource partner, Globital can take the stress and pressure off your agency with high-quality digital marketing service fulfillment ready for you to deliver to your clients. Book an obligation-free call with us today and see if it's the right fit for your agency. The link's in the show notes below. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. Today I'm really excited to have Hugo back with us again. As Globital's Chief AI Officer, he's been at the forefront of our AI development and what we do with it, how we use it. So welcome, Hugo.
Hi, Leanne, good to be back.
So for this series, we've focused on AI and how that affects the digital marketing industry, especially now as we're moving into an AI mature world, and it's not quite so new anymore. As a part of that, we've done a few deep dives now into AI search and how search optimization landscape is changing with GEO, SGE, AEO, and all the other acronym terms. This time, I wanted to take a look closer into AI-assisted service delivery. What we're doing at Globital to develop our AI-assisted services, how agency partners can leverage these as a white-label function, and also share some other examples of how you can implement AI into service delivery other than just copying content. So Hugo, we have a number of AI-assisted services or AI-specific services at Globital. AI-assisted copywriting, social media management, and GEO to start, with more in the works. Take us through what the process looks like for selecting those services and how much AI assistance we add into the end result.
Absolutely. So let me start off by maybe taking us back a little bit in time, where it all started. So basically, about 2.5 years ago, started talking with Globital because Damien, our CEO, he wanted to have, a strong AI department that was capable of developing its own products. And above all, he wanted actually to do some research on AI and not just dive in with the hype. We knew our clients were gonna eventually start contacting us and requesting AI services or understanding what our AI offer was. So we wanted to be ready. And there was this sort of coordinated multi-strategy that we did. So the first one was we started off trying to understand big questions like, what is the future of search or SEO now that large language models and AI-powered search engines are here? So this was one of the first big questions. We didn't really knew what we would set out to do at the time, but we wanted to start that path moving forward. And the exact same question was, how can we start using AI to enhance our productivity on a day-to-day basis? So it was sort of this internal question that we were doing and that we were trying to evaluate with departments. So there was this whole series of an internal audits to the entire company, to the existing workflows, and try to understand exactly where AI could be of hand in this particular scenario. So we didn't try to go for the hype. We tried to do our own path with AI. So I think that is actually a very distinctive strategy than most agencies in the market, or most cases I see out there in the market. So when we started off we made these big questions. And then with time, as we started to unfold a few answers and doing some tests, some internal case studies, namely for the GEO service, for social media department, we started to do some A/B testings on what exactly was the leverage that AI was giving us, let's say, for instance, on engagement rates. So we started to do some A/B testings on internal human effort versus AI effort. If it was just time we were talking about, we knew right away that there was a huge efficiency that we were gaining, but we wanted to have other variables as well. We wanted to have that human validation. We wanted to have a human touch. We didn't want to do AI blindly, you know? So when we, as I mentioned, when we started to unfold this path, we started kind of understanding what the customers were asking at the time. So we started understanding that there was space to build some offers in the market to get started with the AI service offering. So basically, everything that we have so far is first and foremost something that we've tried internally and that we tried to, and that we've built for our own services and supporting our own services internally. And then once we made those changes, we knew and we measured the results. Then we knew that particular service could be of help to customers as well. So we started then taking our internal efforts and tried to present them as services. And that is how we've came up with our own approach to AI services and tools and our AI service offering. Basically, it's a mere reflection of what our internal path was to try to understand this AI phenomenon, try to understand it in marketing technology, try to understand what the future is, assembled as many pieces as we could of this puzzle. And obviously, this is an ongoing assignment as well. And that's pretty much it. That's how it all started, and that's how we came up with these services. It's basically almost to the date a reflection of what our internal path was. And I think a good thing here is that we have a lot of property when we talk about any of these services because we made that path ourselves. So that's something that makes us not just more specialized, but more confident in the services that we have. It's not like we're not going to the market looking for tools. We already evaluated what we wanted. And obviously, this is an ongoing job, but it's a very robust job, what we have so far.
Yeah, one of the things we leaned into as a leadership team early on was to spend 30 minutes a day trying different things, looking at our processes and seeing what solutions we'd like to find, experimenting, seeing where we could make improvements and efficiencies, where we could add things to our tech stack as replacements or additions. And we found a lot of new ideas that way. And when there was something that we did want to look at or consider more seriously, we'd look at it against our existing stack, what it could do, what functions it could replace, and what the savings would be time cost wise. It's also something we would do with any new tool or software, regardless, whether it's AI or not. But it definitely helped us considering our AI workflow and our solutions that could help in that aspect, in that regard.
I feel like we've always acknowledged really quick that in terms of timing, for instance, and even financially sometimes, the gains were there. The gains were there on a day-to-day basis. I just feel like what was missing there was a more nuanced, scalable approach to AI than what we're seeing out there in the market. So we see a lot of just blind AI outputs. So I do think that this kind of approach that I was just discussing, this kind of top-down approach to AI, kind of makes us go for a different path, not just the money saving or the time saving path, but merging those with actual, making it scalable still in the sense that we know that there is quality here. We know that what we're doing provides quality. And it's about enhancing the output, the human output, and not about replacing it. So that was kind of the approach, this top-down approach that we had here on Globital. And I think it worked pretty well at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And so obviously agencies are more than capable of implementing AI themselves. So what's the benefit for choosing a resource partner like us, in your opinion, to help with AI assisted services?
Right. So first off, obviously, Globital's entire structure is oriented to fulfillment, right? So we haven't started yesterday. We have a solid track of assembling our entire operation to make it more efficient for agency fulfillment. So this is, I think, our backbone, and it's actually the thing that we do the best. And our core value is we are a fulfillment agency. We're here to help agencies fulfill their clients' requests. So I think our entire structure will always allow us to whatever we put out there new in the market, it's always guaranteed to have this kind of fulfillment perspective to it. So I think this is one our backbone and a really important element of everything we do internally, right? And then there's again coming to I don't want to be repetitive on this, but it is true that the path that we took so far, it wasn't about it wasn't about understanding what new platforms were out there in the market. It wasn't about waiting for the market to tell us where to go next. It was a proactive approach, and it still is to this day. So I think this is a very distinctive approach to what many agencies are doing out there in the market. Usually agencies of all sorts, um, they don't spend a lot in R&D, right? And when you have a technology such as AI or a huge kind of generational technology that is incoming, usually agencies, they kind of take the back seat on that and they wait for maturity, platform maturity or software maturity to actually start their R&D process internally. So what we did was it was kind of different. It came from this top-down need of understanding what this phenomenon was and where, these big questions that we were discussing between all of us was, where is search going? Where is social media going? Where is PPC going? So uh, I think this is a very distinctive approach in terms of what we do and what the rest of the market is doing. And then obviously you can ask, why should an agency hire us instead of doing this themselves? Now, again, I'd say that you need to understand what you're really good at. And usually agencies have a day-to-day need for relationship with clients. Clients put their businesses in our hands. So it's very difficult for agencies to have the immense amount of resources that it requires for them to manage like 10, 15, 20 clients at the same time. We're used to that. And at the same time, still managing to do R&D and understanding what AI is and doing this whole work. So this is where I think we've done the walk for the agencies, for our clients. So we started doing this in advance for them. And I think that to this day, we are better positioned, or maybe we are in a better position than most of the market out there. And we have developed our own solutions to this. And this path, just to finalize, this path that we went to, it is actually opening doors into other levels. For instance, we are about to launch a new service for AI agents, to build AI agents, custom requests for clients. Obviously, this is coming from a know-how that we've built internally. We've built AI solutions internally and automated solutions internally. Again, and then based on this, we understood that we had the knowledge to provide this kind of services again to clients. So it was a matter of doing that service assembly process all over again. So again, I do think that the fact that we've been watching this for so long, that we've getting our hands dirty for so long, that we have experience firsthand on what worked and what didn't work. So all of this approach, I think it allows agencies out there in the market to trust our path, to ask us whatever is on their mind. So they can ask us if they have any kind of doubts on what our services are or how the service is developing. We've been through that. So we know exactly what the stage is. Obviously, each customer is a customer, but we have a very high level of confidence in what we're doing here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that's always ongoing as well, with something we're constantly developing and moving forward, learning as we go to keep evolving.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I would also highlight, which is the process of making it a service or making it a product. It's actually something that I think it's very interesting as well. Again, we have a very proficient team on transforming anything that we do into services. So that's, I think, something that is very special about Globital as well. that kind of agility, but there is also the need and the care for, you know, putting things into numbers, measuring them, doing cases, even producing documentation. Sometimes we even go beyond where we should be. We're producing too much documentation for what we are actually producing sometimes. I mean, if you are in the R&D area, you know that this is a real issue. So,
We get too excited.
yes, sure. That's a big part of it for sure. But what I was saying is that we have this kind of due diligence kind of process, and that this is basically the entire process that made us put in the market a GEO service, I believe, before 99% of agencies out there. So I think that this is something that, maybe we could have done more noise about this, but I do think that when I look back, we have a GUA service assembled for the past 9 months, and we started communicating in early January, something like that. So if you're on LinkedIn today, you're seeing that people are starting to discuss GEO and they're starting to discuss what is happening with SEO. And it's a good thing because now we have more people contributing to this. But it is also true that this path, we started doing that about 2 years ago, which made us comfortable enough to launch into the market like 9 months ago, product that is actually now being shaped by the market too. So this kind of onboarding or going from internal service to a client service, this is something that Globital does very well as well, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the last session we had with Lauren Petrullo, we touched on some of the more ethical considerations about choosing AI tools, looking at how they store their data, how we can protect our clients' data and their assets, how the AI uses that data and other security considerations. What are some other things that we should be considering from your team and for agencies as well, from a more technical standpoint, when we're looking at bringing in those AI tools, those AI solutions?
Right. So I think there's a couple of big concepts that we should all try and understand when we are adopting or choosing an AI solution. I'm going to say an AI solution because it's not about a tool. Most of the time, it's about an assembly of tools. So the first part is, do I do it internally or do I hire someone? Right. So this is, I believe, one of the first two big choices that agencies require. Again, I don't think agencies or the vast majority of agencies doesn't have the resources or the time to put into R&D internally. But I do think that there is, to some extension, a part that is going to be internal in the future. So I think that agencies will become more capable, more and more capable as AI expands. So I think some tasks will become eventually more or easier to replicate. So agencies will become lighter with AI over time. But even if you're doing it internally or externally, obviously monthly costs are a thing. So if you choose to do it internally, you might have fewer monthly costs, but you might have higher initial setup costs. So that's something that we can evaluate. Or you can decide that you want to be more agile. You want to have something with a higher monthly cost, but go to the market and get this white label solution or get this already pre-made, pre-built kind of solution. So that right there gives you an idea of cost. So one involves more liquidity, the other one a bigger monthly fee, but it allows you to be more agile and to test your product within the range of, let's say, 12 to 24 months and actually understand if it's viable to build your own solution on the side or not. So that's something. And then obviously your capability for maintenance, it's something that is always very relevant as well because, AI requires you to update your infrastructure, right? Because it's always coming out and you don't see it slowing down over the course of the next, let's say, 4 or 5 years. So there's obviously, especially now in this particular market curve, I think that infrastructural costs are definitely something that you should be looking at and understanding that is near impossible to actually have a well-structured forecast of your costs over the next 3 to 4 years. So it is also understandable if many agencies or companies out there kind of prefer to wait and see where the market is going and choosing maturity or service or software maturity over price or over instability. So I think this is something that agencies should also take into consideration. And on a more technical level, I would say, and we experience this on a day-to-day basis. I think if you're into the marketing world, you should be, or digital marketing world, you should be accustomed to this by now. But the fact is that results at this point are not that visible or that tangible in the first month or the first 2 months, you know? So I think that this is an evolving technology. I think that a lot of the technical standards are still being created and still being discussed within communities. I mean, a great example of this, and we've spoken about this in previous webinars as well, the LLMs.txt file extension on the GEO service, for instance. This isn't canon yet. This isn't a standard yet. It's something that the entire community is studying. We are seeing the results. We think that the rationale behind it makes sense. And we are seeing more and more and more corporations adopting it as a standard. And we believe it will become a standard. But for all matters, to this day, it's not a standard per se. So if you're on our end of the deal, you need to take a risk and say, we believe this is going to be the standard and this is where we're going for. But we're not 100% sure. So if tomorrow Google decides that they don't want that particular file, they want an update to the robots.txt file extension, for instance, this is a more technical aspect, but just so we better understand this, if tomorrow Google says it wants to go another way, or ChatGPT or OpenAI says we have our own way of doing things, then we will shift from this, I believe this is going to be the standard, to this, whether the new approach is going to be. So it is an evolving landscape. It is something that requires us to go back and forth, not just with clients, but with projects as well. But it's definitely something that is well worth doing and trying and diving right now.
Yeah, it is evolving rapidly right now. So what we know now may completely change in time.
And from a technical point of view, it's hard to deal with this on a day-to-day basis, right? It's always understanding what is new, what is happening, what is being done. There's a lot of empirical knowledge being applied, a lot of knowledge floating around, not just in social media, but on Reddits, on forums. It's a full-time job to understand what is going on in these areas right now.
Yeah, and coming from the agency side, they've got plenty of other things to worry about or be concerned with, as well as trying to keep up with that and everything else. That's where aligning yourself with a white level partner like Globital, like us, can help fill those gaps.
Yeah, and if you're building services around it, it's about credibility as well. So you better know what you're doing, right? So it's a lot of responsibility.
There's a lot of work behind the scenes. So, what are some best practice tips that you've got for spreading AI solutions within workflows, either deliverables or just behind the scenes for agencies?
Yeah. In terms of best practices, I think that first and foremost, I think where most people struggle with AI is properly defining a scope for what they're trying to do. So I think that's number one for me on the list. So what is it exactly? Because, you know, it's very usual for me to be approached by a client and saying, oh, we have a ticket system, a customer care system. We would like to make an AI implementation on that. And okay, let's then define what the requirements are and what is the scope of this process, this project. Now, the client will tell you that, oh yeah, our clients or customer care has this phone number and we want to do this via WhatsApp and this and that. And then at the end of the day, you just end up saying, okay, I fully understand where you're coming from, but where exactly is AI playing a role in this? So It's not an automation. It's not about making the exact same things that you've always done and just putting an AI stamp on top of this, you know? It's about completely reapproaching and even reimagine the boundaries of your workflows, of your job, of your business, even. So I think that we're still in this phase, in this learning phase of imagining what AI can actually deliver and trying to go for it. So I think that defining proper requirements is definitely something that we should all be doing. Now, if you have an agency and you don't have an R&D department, if you can't spend 2 or 3 hours a day doing R&D and understanding exactly what you need to do, you need to be very open about that as well and saying, okay, I don't fully dominate what is going on here. For instance, again, I have a lot of clients that come to me and they're looking to understand what the difference is between, I don't know, Mid Journey and Dolly and this and that platform, for instance. Okay. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that they pose this kind of questions, that they have someone to come to and to discuss what their approach should be to this, instead of just, talking with ChatGPT all day, because that is happening a lot as well. So I think that you should be very open about the fact that this is new, that most softwares out there are still trying to position themselves in this landscape. So they might be over promising and under delivering in many ways, or at least for your expectations, they might be. So understanding that some of the things that you might want to do right now are best if you keep on holding for the next year or for the next 2 years. Maybe some projects, the investment that would be required would be too high. So that's also definitely part of the checklist as well. So make sure that you have a well-defined scope and that you are aware that the technology is still under development and that you don't know much about this. And we all need to be very honest about this in the market and saying, okay, this is new. This is something that we're all trying to approach for the first time. So there is nothing wrong about you not knowing software X or not knowing this specific part of AI. This is fully normal and that should be even discussed as a thing in the market. So I would definitely say those first 2 points are very important. And obviously, on top of that, just make sure that you have good project management capabilities to implement whatever you're doing. Just make sure that you centralize documentation and that you're able to compare the same things. That's also something that is most of the times. I mean, I can give you a hands-on example. We're at this very point in time, we are evaluating 5 different tools for reporting in GEO. So to see if we can incorporate them into our ongoing services or not. So the amount of documentation that we're producing is substantial, and that this is something that, again, this is something that I believe Globital can do for agencies. So this is something that we're doing internally and that we will eventually provide to customers. But it is about producing the documentation and comparing not just prices, but the real output and the real value that each of these solutions is providing the service with. So again, this is not an easy lane to pursue if you have an agency, but if you have all of this, it's also true that there are a lot of softwares out there in the market and tools already out there in the market that can do a lot of good stuff for you. And that if you just take some time out and investigate, you will definitely experience some quick gains and even have some ideas on what you can offer to your clients as well. So I'm not trying to scare you or scare anyone about, pursuing AI for their own agency. I think definitely that this is something that everyone should do, but it's just a word of caution that if you don't know exactly what you're doing in a market that is still under development, you might get frustrated. You might get caught overselling your services to your clients and then not fully delivering what their expectations were. So this is something that you need to adjust carefully within the market.
Definitely something to take into consideration. You mentioned an upcoming service that we've got. So we do have AI agents currently in development at the moment as a service. Anything else that we've got under consideration right now? And what's the decision-making process that goes into what's coming next?
So in terms of roadmap, as I mentioned, we have the AI agents services coming in soon. So that's something that we are very excited about. And I think it brings a lot of new possibilities. We're even expanding the team for this. So it's an exciting time that we are experiencing here. And we're very excited about assembling this new AI agents service. I think it's going to mark a new stage for us. At the same time, in terms of decision processes and how we decide to go from internal tools to market tools. So in terms of decision process, obviously clients play a huge hand on this, right? So it on a daily basis, we get requests from clients trying to understand what it is that we're doing on social media, what it is that we're doing on search or SEO. And obviously, we gather this kind of feedback, and this goes to tell us where the market is moving in terms of needs. Okay, so this is obviously a big factor to hold into consideration. But it's also, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's about credibility. We don't move forward with something until we fully understand that there's value in it. We don't want to be part of the hype. We are more, if I can say this, we are more interested in studying the AI evolution than we are in productizing it. I know that this is not a good rule of thumb for businesses, but it's a good rule of thumb for us. It works really well for us because we don't feel the pressure of putting out a product if we're not 100% sure of what we're doing or the value that we're delivering here, right? So in terms of decision process, first comes the decision of helping a department with a tool. So the department tells us, look, we have briefings coming in from clients. Each client has its own tone of communication. And we struggle every time we add someone on the social community management team, for instance, we struggle with making sure that new resources understand the nuances of communication for each client, for instance. So this is a specific problem that we were having within the social media department. Now, what we did was we analyzed that and we understood that a GPT where you could have a knowledge base with customer tones of communication and the briefings, you could upload that information. It would eventually standardize the output from any new member coming into the social community management team. So going from here to a product, it wasn't something that we were interested in. So evaluating the decision making process, we didn't think that that was worth, even though we were producing more outputs and maintaining the exact same quality and mitigating existing problems, it doesn't necessarily make it into a solution for our customers, even though our customers might be struggling as well with community management in this context as well. So we don't necessarily make a service just because it's good enough for us. We make a product when we actually see the market fit. For instance, we really wanted to have feasible examples of what our SEO and GEO strategies were bringing to us. So we started doing some monitoring on SEO in Australia, and we did some tests, if you will recall, in different parts of the world because we have teams all over the world. And we were doing these examples on, I wonder if the same prompt for me is the exact same answer that it is for you in Australia, for instance. So with this kind of experience, we got to a set of conclusions. And then with this set of conclusions, we understood that maybe we should have more community feedback. Maybe we should enhance our SEO strategy for voice search, for instance. So we started putting all of this together. And when we started seeing feasible results on ChatGPT or on Gemini, we started understanding that was the new branch of SEO. Then we understood that we had something there, that we had accumulated enough knowledge that we could pass down to agencies. So that is the decision process. You need to go through something and then come out with something entirely new on the other end of the process, and not so much a quick fix or an internal leap that you are fixing. That doesn't necessarily make it a product. So in terms of what's coming in, what's coming out, and what the roadmap is, I would say definitely AI agents are on the verge of becoming a service, and then we will continue pursuing everything that is related with search and social media for sure. And I would say that the biggest three areas we're looking at right now would be design. I mean, designing for social media engagement is something that we are very keen on understanding, especially with video, and the new technologies out there, such as Sora or VEO from Google. These are definitely something that we believe that within the next 12 to 24 months, we can come up with something as they get more and more mature. We're definitely looking into reporting across the entire landscape, not just reporting for PPC, but reporting for SEO or GEO, reporting for even copywriting, other ways of understanding analytics, something that can provide us insights back. And I would say, obviously, PPC as well. It's a big part of the job. And it's something that we're seeing a lot of AI algorithms coming in, doing a lot of good work. Google is coming forward with its own AI capabilities as well. So we're keeping an eye on where that is going to end up as well. So that's definitely something we are keeping an eye on. And what we do on a day-to-day basis is just talk with the department, try new tools until we get a new tool or a new process or something that really makes us have this aha moment and say, this is something that we could offer to clients for sure.
We love a good aha moment.
Yeah. It's also a great deal of business expertise. And if I look at it, I mean, all of the products that we have in the market right now, I mean, most of them we were already doing something and we didn't even realize that could be an angle to approach clients. So it is this part where I take my chief of AI officer hats and I pass it down to someone else who understands business, such as our CEO or COO, and he just looks at it and says, no, there's actually something that we can, make it efficient and make it and offer value to customers here. So that's where I think Globital really excels at.
And that's the thing, having experienced the agency side myself, you just don't get a lot of time to do that kind of thing and to spend the time researching. So your time's much better spent with your clients, nurturing and building those relationships and building those strategies. And when you can rely on an agency partner that has spent the time doing those things, that's where you get the real value to scale your agency.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. We're going to wrap that up there. But if you do want to have a chat to us at all about fulfillment support for your agency, GEO, giving that a trial, seeing how that works, or even the upcoming AI agents service that we have coming, I'll link all of our contact information in the show notes. You can find that there. Thank you so much, Hugo, for joining us again. It's always a pleasure chatting to you, and so many insightful things that are happening behind the scenes right now with AI for digital marketing agencies. So really excited to see where that's going.
Likewise. Thank you so much, everyone.
That's it for today's episode. If you'd like to chat with us at Globital for an obligation-free discovery session or a free GEO consultation, see the show notes for more details. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review so it makes it easier for others to find us too. Until next time.